slide over here into Revit, and we're going to start by looking at how you use Kinship to find content. So here I'm in Revit 2020. I just have a sample model open, and you can see we're on the add-ins tab up here, and we have the Kinship panel showing just below. So whenever you're working on a project, you need a piece of content, you can come here and click the search button or type KL on your keyboard, and that brings up the Kinship content search. The approach to finding content with Kinship is just like looking for something in Google. So you just describe what you're looking for. Like I'm going to look for some audio equipment from Bose, and you'll see instant results showing up below your search. For every family in the results, you'll see its name, the category it's in, the number of types in the family that matched your search. And over here on the left, you'll see a preview image of each result. These preview images are automatically generated by Kinship for all of the content you add to your account, both 3D and 2D content. So without having to do anything, you get these nice consistent preview images for all of your family. As I highlight these different results, you may notice there's an arrow showing here on the right, indicating more information. So you can either click here or use your right arrow key, go in one level, and now I'm looking at the list of types within this family that match my search. So in addition to the previous information, I can see the name of each type and an updated preview image for each type as well. Again, on the right, there's an arrow, so I can click one more time, go in again. And now I'm seeing all of the details about this particular piece of content. So at the top here, we have some of the same info as on the prior screen in larger text, a larger preview image. I can see where the content is coming from. In this case, it's part of my approved library. We'll talk more about that in a bit. I can see the Revit version, unit system, and file size. And then below that, I can see all of the family's parameters, their values, any formulas that are driving those parameters are shown on the right. Here where you see those green share icons on the left, those indicate share parameters. And then back at the top where we saw those blue Revit icons, those indicate built-in standard Revit parameters. So with just a quick keyword search and a few clicks, you can review all of the details about a piece of content that might meet your needs. You don't need to leave Revit. You don't need to learn another complicated software interface. You don't need to open the content or load it into your model. Really easy to navigate back and look at different results. Whenever you found what it is you're looking for, you can either click on it here in the list or hit enter on this final detail screen, and Kinship will download that and place it on the end of your cursor, ready to use in your active view. And I'll just place a couple of those speakers here on this little wall panel. Okay, now I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut, KL, to call back up the search. I'm going to hit the up arrow on my keyboard to go back in my search history, redo the same search I just did a moment ago. And you'll see we're more or less seeing the same results, except now the top result is the family that I just placed in my active view, and it's highlighted with this blue cube icon as opposed to the green book icon we were seeing before. So this starts to get at where Kinship looks for content and then how it organizes or ranks the results. So in general, Kinship can look in three places for content that matches your search. The first place it's going to look is in the project that you're working on. So any content matching your search that's already loaded in the model you have open, loaded in another model that's part of the same project, or any content that's been assigned to the project through Kinship, which we'll look at later on the website, how you can assign content to projects. Any matching content in those locations will generally appear at the top of your results and be highlighted with this blue cube telling you this is already part of your project. And the reason to start there is simple. If the project already has what it is you're looking for, why go looking for additional content elsewhere? Why load redundant duplicate content? If you do want something else, it's good to know what you're working with before you make that choice. And we've always wanted Kinship to be the fastest way to find any content that you need. And that means being faster than, coming to the project browser over here on the left, clicking a bunch of small plus signs, having to remember the category and so on. So those are the first results you'll see, content that's already part of the project. The next set of results will be content with this green book icon, which tells you these are part of your approved library. So this would be the content that the company has created, curated, updated, standardized, and generally wants the team to be using on its project. So of course, aside from anything that meets the user's needs that's already in the project, the next best place to look is in the company library. The third place Kinship can look for content, and it's an optional source, is in other projects that the team is working on, other projects that you're tracking in your Kinship account. So whenever you track a project with Kinship, we automatically capture all of its content and make that available to you in your account. And by default, that content is also searchable. So again, that's an optional source. You can turn it off for individual projects or for all your projects if you don't want the team to see project results. But it can be helpful in situations where the library maybe doesn't cover every need, where people rely on, going back to old projects and finding the family that they need. That can eat up a lot of time, be very cumbersome and tedious process. And it's also something that tends to happen just behind the scenes. Nobody knows it happens, and the cycle just kind of repeats project to project, and the organization doesn't get any greater value out of that. So with Kinship, first of all, you can cut that process down from say 30 minutes to 30 seconds, and it also gets tracked. So from a management standpoint, you can see if content is being reused from project to project, and maybe decide that's something you should add to your library, or something where you need a different family to cover that need so people don't have to keep using that project content. So anyway, that's the third source. And again, it's optional. You can turn it off for individual projects or all your projects. Okay, a couple other things to highlight here in the search. One is, what can you search with Kinship? So there I was looking for a component family, a loadable family, but you can search for other kinds of content as well. Like here, I've searched for a system family, a wall family from manufacturer Knauf. So with Kinship, you can search for components, systems, annotations and details, groups, both model groups and detail groups, drafting views, sheets, filled regions and fill patterns. And then we've just added support for view templates and legends as well. So those are currently all the kinds of content that you can manage and search with Kinship. The other part of what can you search is what information can you search. So here I've entered 2 keywords, wall and Knauf, and we can see that, yeah, these all have wall in their names, and they're also in the wall category, and Kinship is smart enough to pick up on the fact that wall is a category and prioritize that content, but they don't have the manufacturer name showing anywhere here. But if I go into one of these, then we'll see that Knauf is there in the manufacturer parameter, description parameter, structural material, and the type mark. So with Kinship, we index all of the family data for search. So not just the family name, but also the category name, the type names, the parameter values, and all of that information is searchable. So from a management standpoint, you don't need to worry as much about having the perfect naming convention with all the keywords somebody might search and ensuring everyone remembers that all the time, or manually tagging content with every keyword somebody might need. The team can take more of a natural language approach, describe what they're looking for, and if that information is somewhere in the family data, Kinship will find it and be able to include it in the result. The last thing I'll show here in the search are a few filters that users can take advantage of to narrow down their results. So say I look for something more generic, like the word pendant, it could apply to various types of content. Then we can see here above the results, we have a few different family categories showing. So whatever categories of content Kinship finds from your search, it will show those here as available filters. So we can see the top results in this case are all lighting fixtures and communication devices. But say I actually wanted sprinklers, I could click here, that highlights as an applied filter, and now I'm just seeing pendant sprinklers. You can also see the word pendant is spelled differently in the results compared to how I search for it. So Kinship is generally able to handle any typos, misspellings, or simply spelling variations that might exist between how somebody searches and how something is written inside the family. Okay, if I want to change categories or go back to all categories, I just click this filter again, it resets, and I could now choose a different category. Let's say I do want lighting fixtures, I'm gonna click there. Then maybe the next thing I would wanna filter by for content like this would be hosting style. So over here on the right under more, we have another filter menu with hosting options. And maybe in this case, I wanna select face-based to ensure I can place this on any surface in my project. We can see face-based appears here as an applied filter. And now I'm just looking at face-based pendant lighting fixtures. Again, I want to change or remove this filter. I just click again, could choose a different option or go back to all hosting styles. The last filter users can take advantage of here is a source filter. So you can see the word all is highlighted here at the top left, meaning I'm seeing results from all of my available sources. If I just want to see content coming from the company library, I can click library. That highlights in blue, and now I'm just seeing results that have that green book icon. You can filter a level further in the library by what we call lists. So lists are like tags or just custom categorizations of your content that you create to help further organize it for your team to search. You can create as many lists as you want. You can put the same content on multiple lists. You can delete a list and the content stays in your library. So really a lot like a tagging system. And people use lists for sectors, for disciplines, markets, standards, really whatever makes the most sense for their team to find the most appropriate content for their needs. So here I filter down to the interiors list. We see that it's applied there as a further filter, and now I just have one result, so I can be sure it's really tailored to my particular needs. We also have a source filter for what we call collections. I'll explain more what collections are when we go to the website, but for now, I'll just say that the filter works the same way. You can click collections to see results from all of your available collections or filter down to any particular collection you have access to.